Hello, I'm the Irish guy, and right, today I'm going to take a look at every Premier League club and find one player that each team is trying to sign who they really should not sign. Honestly, just walk away from these deals. Right, let's go. Arsenal, Serhou Guirassy. What is this? According to Bild in Germany, Mikel Arteta is wanting to sign Stuttgart goal machine Serhou Guirassy. Surely this one cannot be true. I know the Ghanaian centre forward scored a monster 30 goals in 30 games for Stuttgart last season. Those are Ronaldo sort of numbers, sure. And apparently he's available for just £15 million. But so, if this deal were to actually go through, it would be a crushing reminder of the sort of cheap bargain basement deals that Arsene Wenger was forced to do for insufferably average players. I mean, back in 2010, there's a club who nearly bought Carlton Cole based off one 10-goal season for West Ham. Guirassy has just had an amazing season, sure, but he turns 29 years old in March. There is a reason you've never heard of him over the last 10 years, because he was nothing but an 8 to 9 goal a season striker in France with the likes of Amiens and Rennes. I mean, if you just delete this freak season, then this is a striker who is nearly 30 years of age and has less than 100 career goals. That ain't good. I mean, this reminds me of when Brazilian striker Graffiti exploded with 35 goals and 31 games for Wolfsburg back in 2009. Like Guirassy, he was another Bundesliga freak. But can you imagine if he had then got a mega money move to Chelsea? He'd have been Mattea Kesman on ice. Guirassy, he's 29. Where has he been? If Arsenal signed him, I can promise you, he's just another shamak. Aston Villa, Tammy Abraham. Yeah, apparently Aston Villa are sniffing around their former striker, Tammy Abraham, who everyone has forgotten about completely. Even now, I just know that you have not thought about him in months. It's now been 2 years since his fantastic 27-goal debut season at Roma. Yeah, he followed it up with a really underwhelming 9-goal season. He was so poor that nobody really cared that he then missed most of last season through injury. And the same thing happened to him at Roma that happened to him at Chelsea. He was replaced by Romelu Lukaku. Tammy must feel so sick of this Belgian beefcake to such an extent that he probably has daily dreams about smashing in his teeth on the teacup ride at Disneyland. Aston Villa are a Champions League club now. They should not be acting as a rehabilitation home for former England internationals who used to play for them on loan. They've already done that with Ross Barkley this summer. To me, this behavior is not befitting of a Champions League club. This is not a reunion for your former loanees from Chelsea. Honestly, I'm gonna say the same thing I say to anyone who has a Netflix subscription. Don't even look at Tammy. That awful Melissa McCarthy comedy. Bournemouth, nobody. Yeah, Bournemouth are the only club in the league who don't even have a transfer rumour this summer. Oh, that's incredibly boring. Next, Brentford, Joe Bellingham. I wouldn't. Look, I might be completely wrong, but I think Brentford are potentially sniffing around this guy just because he's Jude's brother. I mean, you might think I'm being a cynical, grumpy spoilsport right now. I mean, I surely have no reason to think that the Bees are only wanting to sign this Sunderland midfielder because his brother is one of the biggest stars in the world, right? It wouldn't be like Brentford to sign the relative of an English Galactico, someone who owes 90% of his huge Instagram following to the famous one in his family, right? Romeo Beckham. Brentford have a model at their club. Some 21-year-old reserve team midfielder who they literally get to advertise their shirt on billboards. And why? Because he's the son of a Spice Girl and the most famous footballer to ever live. Brentford only signed this guy to boost their socials. Part of me thinks that if Joe's brother wasn't a superstar, and instead someone who was just fired from the cinema for pissing in the popcorn, if he was just some ordinary random guy with no famous relatives, would Brentford really be in for him? Don't go, Joe. You'll just be another Romeo. Brighton, Kieran Dewsbury Hall. Yeah, apparently Brighton is sticking around Leeds United for their exciting Dutch winger Sorencio Somerville. Yes, I would support that one, but they're apparently also going to revisit that failed bid for Leicester City central midfielder Kieran Dewsbury Hall after they tried to buy him in January. Dewsbury Hall screams average. You might be mistaken for thinking that he's an exciting young gun coming through, right? No. He turns 26 in September. Yes, you heard correct. 26 years old. When did that happen? It's like he's just aged a decade overnight. It feels like he's a rapidly aging monkey. I mean, click your fingers and suddenly he'll be blowing out his candles on his 40th birthday cake. But yeah, he's not even a millennial. He was born in 1998 and will go to his grave without ever having been even called up to the England squad. Yikes. Even Jack Colback got an England call up. No, Brighton. This fella, he feels like a cross between James Ward-Prowse and a sock filled with seaweed and sand. If you just meshed both of their talents together, this would be the end result. Chelsea, John Duran. Chelsea have obsessed over John Duran for nearly a year now. Why? To me, a huge part of Chelsea's identity has always been wrapped up in wanting the hottest striker on the market. I mean, back in 2003, they were shamelessly trying to rip Thierry Henry out of Arsenal. But Chelsea tried to get in, and in some cases succeeded, with the likes of Van Nistelrooy, Crespo, Shevchenko, Adriano, Aguero, Falcao, Torres, Rooney, Costa, Morata, Lukaku. All strikers who were utterly ferocious and feared on the continent at the time. Never did I think they'd be trying to prize away a striker who lives on the Aston Villa bench, and for £40 million. This 20-year-old Colombia centre-forward is a talent, sure, but he scored 8 goals in 49 games for Aston Villa. Chelsea need a top striker, not someone who can't get a game for Aston Villa. Crystal Palace, Reece Nelson. Yeah, apparently Crystal Palace have already lined up the replacement for Michael Olise. According to the papers, they're hunting down Arsenal's Reece Nelson. Apparently the Gunners are demanding £21 million for this 24-year-old winger, which is so ridiculous to me. You want to talk about English wingers costing £21 million? Yeah, July 2005. Jarrad Phillips was the same age as Nelson is now, 24 years old, and had utterly ripped it up from Manchester City. He was forcing his way into the England team. He was one of the scariest wingers in the Prem, who had huge interest from Arsenal too. So yeah, he moved to Chelsea for that big amount of money. That was warranted. Yeah, it's nearly 20 years later, and Arsenal are now demanding that amount of money for an uncapped player who started 1 game last season. Yeah, this is a kid who did have his moments during Arteta's first title challenge, scoring twice against Nottingham Forest in a 5-0 win and banging in a last-minute winner against Bournemouth. But let's be real. Since returning from his loan spell at Hoffenheim 2 years ago, he has been given 481 minutes across 2 Premier League seasons. Is he even a Premier League player? Is he? I mean, compared to the last 2 seasons with his childhood friend Ademola Lookman, who is a similar age and has crammed in 32 goals and 18 assists in that time frame with Atalanta. Palace chasing Nelson is like when they were really drooling over Eddie and Nketiah. I don't care if they do patty cake with each other on the bench. They are realistically championship standard. Seriously, Palace, look elsewhere. If you want to look for a 24-year-old ex-Hoffenheim winger who struggled in North London, then give Ryan Sessegnon a ring. He wouldn't cost 20 mil. He'd be cheaper than a box of chicken nuggets. Everton, Jacob Greaves. Yeah, apparently Everton have already found their Jarrad Branthwaite replacement. 23-year-old Hull City centre-back Jacob Greaves, who just crawled his way into the championship team of the season. A late bloomer centre-half at Hull. He does give me Harry Maguire vibes, which I suppose is a good thing. But what if he's not? What if he really is just one insufferably average centre-back who has no business belonging in the Prem? The fact that he's never even been given a cap by England under 17s, nothing. Absolutely no international recognition at all. Leads me to believe that he is very meh. If I was Sean Dyche, go for Prem proven. Like Trevoh Chalobah from Chelsea, because Greavesy, it's a risk. Fulham, Calvin Phillips. Yeah, apparently Fulham are considering selling João Palhinha to Bayern Munich months after his fat new contract extension, which I think everyone saw through. That looked about as official as a 3 AM wedding in Las Vegas. The entire deal was about as convincing as Adam Sandler's acting. So yeah, I'm sure he's off to Germany this summer, but replacing João Palhinha with Calvin Phillips, that is a horrible replacement. Yeah, the Phillips that excelled at Leeds United would have courted huge interest after Euro 2020. That version of him would be such a coup for the Fulham midfield, but I have a feeling that that version of him is dead. After having his confidence smothered in a crisp packet whilst rotting on the Man City bench, lads, I remember thinking that Sunderland tying up a £10 million deal for Jack Rodwell was quality business 10 years ago, because yeah, he wasn't given a chance at Man City, no, but I remembered what a quality young gun midfielder he was at Everton. I remember even putting him in my fantasy league team at the time. I mean, to be fair, he did score against Manchester United on his debut, so I didn't look like an immediate meat muffin with soup for brains, but I know that Man City disaster took a toll on his confidence, and he was playing in Australia at 30. Stay away from Phillips Marco Silva, he's damaged goods. Ipswich Town, Footies Ioannidis. Yeah, apparently Ipswich Town just had a €22 million bid knocked back by Panathinaikos for their 24-year-old Greek international striker, Footies Ioannidis. Lads, this is such a harebrained hipster idea. It sounds like it belongs in the minds of those at Brighton, not Ipswich Town. They're thinking outside the box, and then there is this. Ioannidis is someone who, yes, exploded with 23 goals last season. But again, it is the Greek league. You don't have to be anything special to score goals in that division. I mean, the guy who won the Golden Boot this season is literally a moron. Leon Moron, famously average at Real Betis. It wasn't too long ago that Federico Macheda was putting up these sort of numbers at Panathinaikos. I mean, would any Premier League club ever take this fella? Someone who was famous for 1 week of his career 15 years ago? No. He was barely championship standard, never mind the Prem. Leicester City, Sean Longstaff. It is wild. I remember before the crazy takeover completely flipped things around. Leicester City were the ambitious Premier League club, hunting down Champions League football, whilst Newcastle United, their owner, was just happy to be in the league. And so it was the Magpies who were embarrassingly begging Leicester for one of their homegrown midfield misfits in Hamza Choudhury. Despite the fact he had literally just broken Matt Ritchie's leg, Steve Bruce, read the room. It would be like your divorced dad choosing to marry the mum of that school bully who flushes your head down the toilet after every geography class. But now it is completely switched. Not only did Newcastle no longer want Choudhury, but now it is Leicester who want Newcastle's much maligned homegrown midfielder, Sean Longstaff, in a £15 million deal. Yeah, I wouldn't bother. He's not very good. Liverpool, Leny Yoro. Yeah, apparently Liverpool are trying to silently poach Lille's 18-year-old centre-half, Leny Yoro, for a quiet £40 million. Unfortunately for them, Real Madrid have already locked eyes on the kid too. Not Lenny! Those at the Bernabeu can smell the next Varane. Listen, this guy only turned 18 in November and still played nearly 50 games last season for a team who just finished 4th in Ligue 1, and he's now in France's Olympic squad too. I won't deny, he seems like a great prospect, but if I was Liverpool, I would not get into a bidding war with Real Madrid. Not now. Because we saw with Jude Bellingham last summer, Liverpool cannot compete with this club when trying to convince a player. Real Madrid is the place to be. Why do you think all the fans are so nervous about Trent Alexander-Arnold's contract? If this Real interest is real, then Liverpool will be Euro's second choice. He'll have his heart set on the move to the Bernabeu. Apparently he's already told Lille he doesn't want the Premier League. So Liverpool, walk away. You're barking up the wrong tree. You don't want this to be like last summer when Chelsea embarrassingly beat you to 2 players. Man City, Bruno Mahrez. I wouldn't bother Man City. He's not very good. No, remember when PSG signed Yohan Cabaye, Newcastle's midfield star? And he was a flop at a Champions League club, right? Yeah, Bruno's the same. You don't need him, honest. Next, Man United, Jarrad Branthwaite. Look, I know it is crazy to talk badly about Jarrad Branthwaite because right now, everybody loves him. A towering 6'5" centre-half. Somebody with the physique of a basketball player. And so people are saying he should be in England's squad this summer. Yeah. I remember back when the whole world loved Harry Maguire too. In the summer of 2017 and 2018, he had the Branthwaite hype, and it moved to crazy proportions in 2019 when he had both Manchester clubs tussling it out for him. Apparently City offered him £278,000 a week. Look, I don't for a minute believe that, but Guardiola has admitted the City couldn't afford Maguire. That's crazy. Maguire mania was ridiculous, and it's because everybody lost their heads over what was just a decent mid-table centre-back, the modern-day Michael Dawson. So this time, stop the craziness at its source. Nobody stood up to the Maguire lunacy back then, just letting it quickly spiral out of control. Before we knew it, he was an £80 million centre-back and captain of Manchester United. Someone who Cristiano Ronaldo had to call sir. No, he should have spent his entire career at a West Ham. He was another Jagielka at best. And Branthwaite, apparently Everton want £80 million for this man, or at least a similar fee to what Leicester shook Chelsea and Man United down for Fofana and Maguire. Leicester City are Everton's blueprint. Don't do it. Don't make somebody who has only 1 England cap to his name, someone who's not yet good enough to crawl his way into their Euro 2024 squad, over Lewis Dunk. Don't make him an £80 million burden. You'll just be creating another Maguire. Don't do it! Newcastle, James Trafford. Yeah, here we have Newcastle inching closer to signing Burnley goalkeeper James Trafford, someone who was dropped for the final third of the season and it contributed to 2/3 of Burnley's awful relegation. It was a nightmare debut season, and so Newcastle wanting to do a £16 million deal for this 21-year-old goalie. Really? Yes, this means that the former Man City man is surely going to initially be on the bench to Nick Pope this season. But, I don't know, to me, Trafford, he doesn't seem like the level of a goalkeeper who will eventually take the Magpies to the next level. He just stinks of being the next Freddie Woodman, a young child who was never good enough to seize the #1 gloves. Yes, Trafford was an underage Euro-winning goalie with England. Yeah, great. Woodman won the Euros in 2014, and then the World Cup in 2017, where he won the Golden Glove too. Oh yeah, and the Under-21 Toulon tournament in 2018, where he was named the best goalkeeper of the tournament. Woodman was an underage Goliath, don't forget. Yeah, he's now 27, 0 senior England caps, plays for Preston, and his only notable moment for Newcastle was letting Ronaldo belt 2 past him in his second debut. To me, I just smell Woodman off of Trafford. Nottingham Forest, Carlos Miguel. Nottingham Forest need a new goalkeeper. goalkeeper, right? It is such an important necessity for them to get that right this summer. To go out there and sign an experienced, proven goalie. Even dip your toes into the championship for some frustrated goalies who missed out on promotion, like Leeds' Ilan Meslier or West Brom's Alex Palmer. No, instead they're about to wrap up a £4 million deal for a completely uncapped 25-year-old Brazilian goalie, Carlos Miguel, who plays for Corinthians and has 10 league appearances to his name. Yes, you heard that right. 10 matches in Brazil's Serie A, largely being an understudy for 37-year-old Cassio, who, to be fair, played for Corinthians over 700 times. Wow, this fella, he only played 3 times in 4 years at PSV, but back in Brazil, always played plenty. He's had 6 different seasons where he's played 60 plus games. Huh? He had 67 games in the 2019 season alone. 67? How is he not a completely burnt out sausage with chronic back pain? But yeah, should Forest sign his understudy? No. Southampton, Nathan Wood. Yeah, apparently Russell Martin is trying to annoy his former employer Swansea by going back and raiding them for a 22-year-old defender Nathan Wood. It's a bit awkward, isn't it? It's a bit like sneaking back into your ex-wife's house to steal a sandwich from her fridge. Mate, just go to Subway instead. But listen, this is a 22-year-old English centre-back who has done well for Swansea after joining them from Middlesbrough 2 years ago. But you've just made Taylor Harwood-Bellis his switch permanent, who is also a 22-year-old English centre-back with 0 Premier League experience. You've already signed one unproven English defender. Do you really need another one? Go and buy experience instead. Tottenham Vanderson. Apparently Tottenham are wanting to sign Monaco's 22-year-old right-wing back Vanderson, who is a Brazil international. You know what this reminds me of? When they signed a 22-year-old Emerson Royale, who was also a Brazil international. Are we totally sure this one isn't a bird-brain defender too? West Ham Tim Krul. I'm very confused. Apparently West Ham are sniffing around Luton Town, wanting to get their bench-warming goalkeeper Tim Krul on a free. This would be about as random as Newcastle signing Lawrence Karius. Yeah, Krul used to be a top goalkeeper, sure. Back in 2014, he was a World Cup superstar, but his career has fallen off a cliff. You wouldn't even know this former teenage Newcastle United star, somebody who was playing Europa League football at 17. You wouldn't even know he's been at Ajax and Brighton since, because he never played a game. He was also dropped by Norwich, and was never even given a chance to make his Premier League debut for Luton. West Ham needs someone to replace 39-year-old Lucas Fabianski on the bench. But Krul, I wouldn't even trust his reflexes to do that. Wolves Pedro Lima. Is he really that good? Anyway, that's Steve. Let me know, what do you think? What one signing do you not want to sign? Let me know in the comments. Am I right? Am I wrong? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe as always. I'll talk to you in a while.